La Nordica Rosa Reversa wood stove heat shield chimney installation. So you need a heat shield if you have a wood stove in North America, because all the houses are built of wood, and your wood stove is going to generate a lot of heat. In order so that your walls don't catch on fire, you need a heat shield. In Europe, houses are built out of brick, and rules and codes are different. But here, the heat shield will be required by the insurance company, and there's regulations about that, and it's just a safety thing. You can buy heat shields in Home Depot and other places, but for a heat shield this size, because this stove is a little larger than your usual wood stove, you would pay, I don't know, $1,000. Our heat shield on the ground, on the floor, was about, I think, $200 was the total cost. We just bought a metal sheet from a roof making place, plus tiles on top of that. And you can save a lot of money, and you can have your own design, which my wife put little stones all around the metal on the wall, so it looked nice. And then, of course, you have to, before this is done, like you see here, with the pipe going through the wall, you have to actually drill, you have to make a hole in the wall. And that's the scary part. It was for me, because I'm not exactly a construction type of guy, so to actually cut through the wall. But it's not that difficult. You can see on the right side there's a 2x4, and basically every wall is just gyprog or something. Then there's an empty space with insulation, and then you have the outside plywood, and then the siding, which is being pushed out right now. It's just plastic. You can cut it with anything pretty much. I saw people on YouTube using a big circular saw, a power tool, but I don't have that, and to buy that just for this one job, it seemed a little extravagant for me. So I was thinking about using a hand saw, but in the end I used an oscillating tool, which cost only $20 at Harbor Freight, and they are very useful. You can have a little buzzing thing going. It's a little cutter that moves up and down, and it cuts through anything, and I cut through the plywood and the plastic and so forth. And then, of course, you install the pipe. The pipes are double-walled for safety again, and they are quite heavy in the end. So you need to make sure that your support is strong enough, that it sits in the wall, on the wall well, to hold the weight of the pipes stacked up all the way past the roof. So they weighed, I don't know how much, but they were quite heavy. And one problem we had with this, that this support, this triangular support that's at the bottom holding the pipes, that is spaced out for 12 inches. Because the usual size, because the thing is that you have to drill them, you have to attach that support to 2x4s, to those 2x4s inside your walls. You don't want to screw them just to the plywood, because that may not be strong enough to hold all that weight. So you need to find where the 2x4s are, and for that you need a stud finder. And we discovered that our 2x4s were spaced out not 12 inches apart, but 16 inches apart, which is possible, but more rare. And we had to improvise with how to attach this triangular support at the bottom of the pipes. And then our pipe goes away. It's a 30-degree angle away from the wall to get past the overhang. Some people go through the roof on the outside or even on the inside, which is a good option, because if you run your pipe straight up from the wood stove all the way up, just straight up through the ceiling, through the attic, and through the roof, or whatever, how many levels you have. You just cut through everything and run it all the way up. Then your draft is better. But it's way more work with insulating and sealing all the cracks and everything else. And of course, dealing with sealing the roof so that it doesn't leak. So we chose to go outside and bypass the roof with that 30%, leaning 30% to the side and then going up. Our draft is still pretty good. If the wood is wet, then or when you just when you first start up the fire, maybe then the draft is not the best, but other than that, it works very well. So we're glad because we didn't have to cut through all the tiles on the roof and through the attic, which would be just, I don't even want to think about it. And then you make sure you attach your clamps and other things to keep this thing in place. Although the wind wouldn't easily move a pipe like this because of the shape. It's round and it doesn't offer much resistance to the wind. It's not like a sail or anything. So at first we were quite concerned because we have strong winds here, but in the end we have no problems. The pipe is holding up very well. This is the finished product, and our cats can now relax by the stove. We are very happy with this wood stove. That's it. That's the Nordica Rosa Reversa. It's called Reversa because you have the reversed design where the firebox is bigger than the box where you can bake. The what is it called? The baking box. Because this stove also comes in a configuration where your firebox is smaller and your baking area is bigger, is the size of the firebox of this one. But we wanted a bigger firebox because we use it for heating the house, and we found that the baking area is big enough. You can actually have, there's 2 levels, you can have 2 pans with bread baking, so it's big enough. La Nordica Rosa Reversa, highly recommended.
Including all these stupid lawyers, all these stupid FBI agents, all these stupid congressmen, all these stupid professors, all these stupid people posing like they're part of the establishment. I've been around them, they're all sycophantic ass kissers. They have no idea what they're manifesting and what they're doing to themselves. My God, China is doing mass human gene editing in living people. China's doing mass experiments on millions of people. China, 20 years ago, had cows that produce human milk and spiders that are part goat that produce body armor. And you know the U.S. has all that underground too. It's out of control. But their number one threat is Americans that don't want to be totally shafted and screwed over. Because they know Christians aren't going to go along with their kids being taken away from them, and for the devil worship, for the mark of the beast, and that's why they're targeting churches everywhere, getting everybody used to who their main target is. You know, I need to form a new church, a Christian church, but a very inclusive church that believes in the sanctity of life, that believes in Jesus Christ, and that believes in a pro-human future and who understands that revelation is real.
A real church.
Because you don't have those churches anymore. They don't really exist. There's very few of them. The ones that are out there are getting shut down. And just have that, because that's what the enemy fears, is what they're going to come after, is a Christ-centered church that's not a bunch of Bible thumping. And by that I mean a bunch of priests arguing who the best preacher is. A bunch of priests arguing who's got all the answers, and this church did this wrong, or that church did this doctrinally incorrect. I just want to tell people the devil's real and God's real, and world government's here and it wants to kill your ass, but first it wants to dumb you down and steal your mind to get your soul.